Howdy, howdy, and welcome back to the next episode of How to Build. And today we're going to be talking about the Dark Nine. The last one we talked about the Green Lapis. Hopefully, I can make this video a little more clear in my explanation and understanding. So we're gonna try to improve as much as we can possible. Let's get into his skills and talk about what those are going to do to help us in our building of him. Now, just like I said about any character, you can build them a multitude of ways. You don't have to build them one way. You can build them different ways depending on what you personally need for them. So his first skill is no, it's not his first skill. Okay, now his first skill is to attack the selected enemy. It says 60% chance to inflict one sap damage on each enemy for 2 turns. 50% on its base. We do have a skill up on them, so that can go up to 70. No, 80% at max once max skilled. I'm probably going to do that eventually on this account in particular. We happen to be on the 9 account. That's the only one I have the Dark 9 on. He does sap, and sap is good to get extra damage passively. So keep that in mind. Now we have his second skill that attacks all enemies. 60% chance to inflict 2 saps of sap damage on each enemy that lasts for 2 turns. This can go up also to 80% and go from a 5 cooldown to a 4 cooldown, which he doing double sap, giving you more passive damage. Now his burst says attacks all enemies, 65% chance to extend the duration of one of the oldest debuffs on that target for 1 turn. So the debuff chance can go to a 85% plus damage. I think this skill needs to be buffed a bit, where it can go from being just one debuff to all debuffs and for 2 turns. Like that would be great. Like to move the debuff chance this one up to this one, that one up to this one, and then on level 4 you get all debuffs, and then at 6 you get the extra turn. That would be great. That would be great. And you can still stay at 4 spirit calls for this skill. That would make him insane and make him really, really strong. A lot stronger than what he is, even though he's pretty strong right now. We have his passive, which you get 5% health on based, and I'm not going to do the math since we don't have it maxed out, but you get a lot more health percent that's added on, meaning that you can do builds that require less health because you have a bunch of it on the passive. Then we have the other passive that decreases damage from light by 7%. So he can still dish out more damage and take reduced damage from light as well, making him a stellar option to have when he is at the disadvantage there. So right now we know that he has some tankiness in his kit, and he has a lot of debuffing in his kit. One thing I want to establish that every hero in this game does damage. Some more than others for obvious reasons, but every hero does damage. So you could uh go for a damage build, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it is an option. And that's the build that I do have currently for him. He is a sniper, and they do have a high based on crit once you level them up. That's probably something that I should have mentioned about warriors and how they have a high based on, I think, resistance or something like that in the previous video. I just kind of thought about it now. Don't have notes. I probably write notes for the next videos, but don't have them right now. But I believe I'm on a 2-1-1 build here. If you remember from the last one, 2-1-1 attack build currently. So we know 2 is the attack that we have, and then the 1-1 is health and defense. Now we can go to the gear. Right, so we have the one attack here, one attack there. This might be 3-1. Yeah, I think this is a 3-1. Yep, attack one. Yeah, because I have to think where to say it's close to 3K. He generally would be like most heroes would be about just over 2K or like 1.9 or something when you're on a 2-2. 1 year max, and then the defense. Yeah, of course, we just got good HP stuff. So we're on a 3-1 build, 3-1 attack defense. So when you're saying 3-1, you know that it's going to be three pieces of gear with attack, and then you say 3-1 attack, and then defense. That lets you know that the last piece is defense. You don't have any HP unless you're on some other complex build that requires the ring or the neck, which you can have HP on these, but we'll talk about that a little bit later in a different build for him. I was building him before as my main damage dealer back in the day of the KR, but I won't go into full detail on that. I was just doing some testing, didn't quite understand the hero or had the knowledge that I do now currently, but I do have a completely different build for him, and a build that I do recommend because he is a debuffer. Even though he doesn't get a lot of debuff rate on base, which is kind of silly. I don't think they should lock the stats to class. They should make them exclusive to the heroes they make sense on. So since he needs a lot of debuff rate, he should automatically have a lot of debuff rate on his base, which he starts at 0% when you first get him. Just like how clerics should have resistance, a lot of resistance on their base, and like warriors, I think they do have. I think warriors do have crit damage, but they should have a little bit of decent crit rate as well, so it's not hard. And strikers, of course, a lot of crit rate, but some crit damage. But if you're a hero that does a lot of debuffing, maybe you should have a little more debuff rate than the other ones. Like some guardians got a lot of debuff rate. Having good debuff rate on them will be good, and then you have some that do damage and stuff. So maybe having a more crit rate, higher base speed, just something, just so it makes sense on the hero itself, rather than just having it locked solely to the class. But I'm on a tangent right now. Let's get back to the task at hand. So let's talk about a different build for him. Now I do have a completely different build. We just put it all together and then talk about it afterwards. I need to level up some of the gear so we can be a little bit better. I believe this is, well, this one is a little different. This is also a 3-1 build, I believe. Let's just say for the sake of the video, if we can find another piece. If I can find another piece. All right, we just slap that on. We're not going to really look at the stats per se. Actually, no, 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 no. No, we're going to go with the actual build. So I can make sense of his actual build rather than doing something else. But you do have the 2-2 build where you can go 2-2 HP def, so you know there's no attack on there, um, which is a good one as well. Then you have 3-2 builds. 3-2 builds, and that's when you incorporate the ring or the necklace and you slap like a HP piece on there, because you can have HP and only HP on the ring or the necklace for a build. So generally, if you can't get 100% debuff rate, because he's really good in the obelisk. So if you can't get like 100% debuff rate or at least close to it in subs, you would go with a debuff ring. But generally, you want to go with a speed or an HP, just like we have here, speed and then a HP piece on the neck and the ring, so you can have a tankier build and hopefully just get a lot of debuff rate and subs. I still need a little more debuff rate, I think. I mean, 100% or plus for the obelisk. You don't necessarily need debuff rate for the raid. You just need him to be able to land. I mean, well, you just need him to activate the sap for him to do it in the raid per se. If you were to use him in PvP, you're not necessarily building him to do sap. You're probably building him to do damage, so the previous build will be a little bit better. But for most other content, you're just going to build him tanky. a lot of defense because he has a decent base defense. He has a decent base attack too, but decent base defense. His health is pretty low, but you should be able to manage for the most part. So we now have a 2-3 build defense. I mean, well, yeah, a 3-2 build defense HP. So 3 being the defense, HP being the 2. So you should see this with visual representation on the screen as well, so it can make more sense. So when you're making your builds for your heroes, when you like, oh, what build that you do for your 9? Oh well, I got mine on a 2-1-1 attack build, so you know there's HP def on there. Or you like, well, I had good subs on One Piece, but this was the best thing that I had to make the set, so I had them on a 2-1-1 def build. Like I was building them tanky, but I didn't have a good enough HP, so you know that there's an attack piece on there or something like that. Or it's like, yeah, I got them on a 3-2 HP def build, so you know the 3 is the one that is a HP because you said HP first. You put that as what's first. So if it's a higher number, what you say first is what's the that higher number is going to be. So if I'm saying 3-2 def is the first one, that means I got 3 def. If I'm saying 3-2 HP is the first one, that means I got more HP. But when you're saying those builds, you definitely want to call out the other stat as well. So it makes more sense for everybody. And I'm going to keep saying this in every video until we all just get a good understanding of what it means when you use these terms. So when new people come into the game, you can use these same terms and everybody has an understanding because it's simple once you actually get it. So he is useful in practically all content. I say his best place is the obelisk. You do want a decent amount of speed on him because you just want him to be able to move effectively as many times as he can possible. You don't necessarily have to skill him up unless he's just a hero that you like, then you can put skill ups in him. But other than that, he works decently without skill ups. But you know, every hero is a lot better with skill ups. So it's like if you are skilling him up, you get that HP passive up. You might can opt out of the 1 HP piece and go for uh, a debuff raid or extra speed piece depending on your subs and do well in that aspect. And that Mah-Lon is second awakened, so since he's 2A, he doesn't have this many of these stats on base. Like his debuff rate, I believe, is a 0 at its base. So from the first awaken, you get 10, and then the second one, you get the 20%. So he will be at 89% without being second awakened. But that's pretty much it. The main things that I wanted to talk about, the main points that I wanted to bring up about them. We'll be back again once we take our next poll on whatever hero that we'll be talking about next. I'll definitely want to see more people voting this time around on our next set of heroes for our How to Build series. So, hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, smash that like button. If not, well, let's talk about it in the comment section below. If you do have a different build or something like that, let's talk about your builds. What kind of build you got in there? Let's get familiar with the different types of builds. Let's talk about that stuff too. Leave that in the comment section below about your 9. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet because we have a lot more to come. And signing out. Much love. God bless. Deuces.